Welcome to our fourth video in our series of images of light from Scripture. When I was in the Scouts, we often used to play many different wide games, and some of them were played at night time. And there was this one that we were playing that was pitch dark. And in this pitch dark, I was in the corner of a field waiting for others to come and find me, not hiding away, wanting to be found, but waiting in the dark because there was no other light around. And as happens, it takes time for someone to come and find you. And the darkness was getting stronger, and I was starting to feel more cold. But then at a particular moment, I saw a flicker of light in the distance. And then that flicker of light got stronger and stronger as I saw the rest of the team coming to find me with their torch. And the torch shone in the darkness, and it's as if the darkness just had to disappear. The darkness went away. And as the torch came closer and closer, it was almost like a blinding light that almost stopped you seeing fully because the light surrounded you and enveloped you. Darkness could not touch you. It felt almost as if the light might shine into you. And that's the image that we have of Jesus coming to us as light. It's the image that Paul picks up on in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Let me just read it to you now. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," made his light shine in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ. Let light shine out of darkness was that creation light where suddenly light came into being. But the God who made creation light also enables the light of Jesus to shine into our hearts. Sometimes we can feel, like I did in the corner of the field, that darkness was getting heavier and more, and that it was getting colder and more oppressed. And yet, the minute the light came, hope came. And light shone more and more. And the most interesting thing is, as the light came closer, I could get to see the eyes and the faces of my teammates. And when God shines his light into our hearts, what Paul is saying here is we get to see Jesus's face. Isn't it amazing when you see somebody's face who is so for you, so smiling, knowing that nothing will get in the way of their love for you? Nothing will get in the way of them being with you and for you, of them wrapping you and starting you. Almost that start of a new life, that wrapping with God's love. It's here that Paul speaks so clearly that Jesus is Christ's face shines upon you, and you see and you know. But sometimes when we have that light shining on us, it can feel like we're in a fragile place. But God says, don't worry. I'm pleased to let you have my light. Just hear how Paul continues in this letter. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all surpassing power is from God and not from us. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. Jars of clay, everyday jars, jars that could be chipped, jars could be broken, but jars that can contain the treasure that God gives. Jars that might feel the pressure from the outside, jars that don't understand what's going on, that are perplexed and hemmed in. And yet, God still pleases to choose to fill us with his light, that we might share that light with the world around us, that we might treasure his treasure, his gift of love and light. The NLT puts it slightly differently, just here. For we now have this light shining in our hearts, but we ourselves are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. It makes it clear that our great power is from God, not from ourselves. You see, God himself gives us his light, his treasure, that we might take it to the places where we go, that we might share it with the people around us, that we might be God's light in our homes, in our communities, in our schools, and in our workplaces, that we might be like those people that came towards me from my team, shining that torchlight into the places that God has placed us. But when people look at us, they sometimes don't see people that are totally strong. Why? Because we are jars of clay, but we carry an amazingly powerful light that points people back to Jesus. So that when people look at us, they don't need to think that we're amazing. They understand that God can shine his light into them, and they too can be his lights to the world. So I hope and pray that after listening to this, that if you're feeling the dark, you could invite Jesus to come to you across the fields, to shine his light into your heart, to smile on you and for you to know his love. But also that you might have opportunities of carrying that light in your jar of clay into your workplaces, home and school this week, that you might be the light of hope to the people you encounter and the people you meet, not because of you, but because the power of God and the treasure of God in you, his light shining through and reflecting from you.